Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of American Comics, A History by Jeremy Dauber. Now this is from Norton and you can see there the ISBN number. Now it's got 570 pages and the book came out in 2022 and it covers the entire history of American comics, all the way from the Civil War, Thomas Nash, all the way to Yellow Kid, Crazy Cat, Dick Tracy, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, also of course Marvel Comics, Dark Knights, Watchmen, and also all the way up to the modern age. Lots and lots of information, tons and tons of detail, which I think is just absolutely brilliant. I love it. And let's just go, there's works that he's done, other works he's done, and also let's get the contents page. It's always a good place to start. There's the contents. Now you'll notice one thing, if I flick through it very quickly, there's no pictures. No pictures at all, which I think works well with this. Quite a lot of history books about comics quite often put loads of pictures. And unless you're putting really obscure stuff, the really sort of pictures you put. And of course now everyone can look online. So what's the point? You just fill the book up with lots and lots of pictures that really like a picture of Superman. Everyone knows what Superman looks like. It's not exactly, or EC Comics, the usual classic pictures, of course, from EC Comics. So it doesn't include them. It's just the text, just tons and tons of information, all about all kinds of things. It talks about films, pulps, all the newspaper strips, Happy Hooligan. I'm just flicking through, just quickly looking. Little Orphan Annie gets a mention, Superman gets a mention, Catholic World, Catholic Church, Classics Illustrated gets a mention. You got here even Thomas Edison Award gets mentioned, and Prince, obviously Mad, gets mentioned. EC Comics, of course, gets mentioned. No history of comics. This has to have EC Comics. I love EC Comics. We've got talking about Kurtzman. We've also got, of course, about Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, all the behind the scenes, all the sort of things that I must admit, some of it I was thinking, I didn't realise that. I hadn't thought about that. Also about underground comics, of course. You've got Zap Comics, mentions about that. The comics that plugs you in, apparently. And many, many more. New Worlds you've got here about, it talks about Japan, United Kingdom. Not too much about those, which is a pity. I would love to see an equivalent sort of UK history like this. This would be amazing. Or Japanese one as well. And of course, European comics, that would be absolutely. But it also talks about Pacific Comics, First Comic, Red Circle Comics, Capital Comics. I'm always fascinated about all the various companies that obviously back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, etc. Of course, many of them not around now. It talks about Fantagraphics, IDW, and all those sort of ones as well. And many, many other pieces of information. Also talks about graphic novels, talks about obviously the internet, all loads of things. So this book is just packed solid with tons and tons of information, but no pictures. So anyone expecting for pictures, even talks about obviously Conan, as well as Cerebus and others. But another thing that's really slightly depressing about this book is the long list of all the references, because there's a lot of great books. And it's, when you look at them, you think, would love to get that book. And I was looking online for some of them, and some of them are quite hard to get. Not all, but it's also got a lot of references, books, of course, that many people have got. All the Marvel Masterworks and all those sort of things. So you can see here Batman archives, but things like the comics, the complete collection, which is superb, by Brian Walker. Also mentions complete Crumb Comics Volume 1 and so on and so on. But also the reference in the back as well. It's got things talking about the Tales to Astonish issue 3, apparently May 1959. Also talks about Superman, Mysteries in Space, or Strange Adventures number 117. So it references a lot of unusual comics all over the place. Again, doesn't include any pictures from those. Also this one, Adventure Comics number 271 from 1960, reproduced in Superman versus Lex Luthor, apparently. Maybe it says reprint, REPR. I assume that means reprint. But anyway, it's just full of lots of it. It talks about, of course, International Journal of Comic Art, Modern Fiction Studies, and so on and so on. You can see the style of this book. And also, the index is brilliant. Got lots of information. So this is the thing that really always shows how good a book it is. You've got Amazing Adult Fantasy, of course, the Amazing Fantasy for Spider-Man. You've also got All-Star Superman, All-Star Western, All Story, all true crime cases. Talks about crime comics, science fiction comics, horror comics, of course, EC Comics. Also talks about animated cartoons, get in here, Angel and the Ape, Arkham Asylum, mentions all those sort of, and it's got a great little section about Dave McKean as well, my favourite artist. So which is always one of the things whenever I look at an index, one of the first things I look for, Dave McKean, especially if it's talking about history of comics. as far as I'm concerned, he is the greatest creator in American comics. I know people would say it's Jack Kirby, but for me, Dave McKean. And it does mention, he's got a few pages anyway, which is good. So this book is just great. And I love the blurb on the back by Neil Gaiman. Always great. The first book about comics that covers events I was there for. Not shaking his head saying, oh, that didn't happen, that didn't happen. I think that's really good. And I don't know. Obviously, I have no idea. I assume that the information here is absolutely correct. But of course, talks about events. People will always have future interpretations of why certain things happen or not. But I thought it was brilliant, and I loved reading it. And I found it very funny as well, which is good. It's actually got a lovely flow. You read all the way through it. It's not turgid or anything. To me, great read from start to finish. I loved it. Learns a lot from it. So this American History Comics, I knew I'd say that. That's about what my main criticism about it. It's such an unusual cover, but it does stand out, that cover. So obviously you can see, I'm surprised he didn't put could have put the pictures there at the side, but still, I think it's nice they've actually got the price there, 5 cents. I can just see just cutting in there. But it says American History Comics, a bit like Marvel Mystery Comics. So you've got that sort of banner there. Entertaining and richly detailed, and I definitely agree with that. Brilliant read, really recommended. American Comics, I got it right that time, a history.